Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another segment of Asaph Cafe. We're on our temporary new set until Christian designs the set that he's designing for us. And of course, on my immediate left, our aging rocker, we affectionately call Emmett, our aging rocker. He's been gone for a while.
Yep.
Had some health issues, and
Yep.
we're glad you're back today.
Wonderful, yep. I'm very glad to be back.
Yeah, glad you're here. And then, of course, we have Linda Brooks Curtis, one of our regulars. She's here with us. And Linda and I have been doing some one-on-ones.
Wonderful. Those
lately.
are the best. Those are the best.
And those were fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those, yeah.
So you can't pop any more bubbles now because we're not on that
Yeah,
Lawrence
kind
set
of sad,
anymore.
yeah. Is this a set of Missoula, like downtown Missoula, or is it another
It
city?
looks like Missoula. It's just a sunrise city. It's
okay.
sunset.
We can pretend we're at a cafe and there's a big immense window facing the city.
And it looks like it's outdoors, kind of. See.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful.
And so you can see a second shot here that's been set up.
It's really nice. I like it.
Yeah. So I know the perfect song to start off with our sunset, and Linda may know this one.
Sunrise, sunset.
You know this song in a minute?
I think I've heard it on the Lawrence Welk show one time. I think I have. Yeah, I have once. Not often, but yes. Yes, it's been on the Lawrence Welk show one time, yes.
Sunrise,
nice.
Sunset, yeah. That's
Very
One of my
nice.
favorites.
Yeah, I knew that Linda would like that one. That's one of her favorite songs.
Well, since we have food, let's just briefly pray. Just kind of non-sectarian prayer. God, thank you for the food and our time together. Amen.
That's a perfect short prayer. Thank you for that.
All right.
Now, anyway, getting back to Sunrise, Sunset, that's a pretty cool song. And since we're on a sunset,
Yes.
I thought that that'd be the perfect song to start this off here.
Mm-hmm.
I know This Guy's in Love with You is still my theme signature song, but it's good to do another song every once in a while.
Yeah, it is. Oh, just for
And it's good to have you back, too.
Yeah, it is.
Again. You've
I
been
was-
gone for several weeks.
Yeah, I was sick. It was at the beginning. I'm going to eliminate all the gory details, but you know that stuff, that virus that has been hanging on Missoula, where you have a low-grade fever, chills, and coughing and hacking, and you can't get rid of it. That's what I had for about a month. It started actually New Year's Eve. New Year's Day when I was at church, I really had it. I thought it was just a cold, but I went into the doctor, and they thought it might be bronchitis. They didn't know. But the antibiotics were not helping.
Uh-huh.
Then I went back and got another course of antibiotics and Tessalon pearls to help with cough. So it isn't like I've had a high fever or pneumonia or anything, because I've been a lot sicker than this. But it's one of those lingering coughs where you cough, and spit, kind of you live on cough syrup and Tessalon pearls and antibiotics. I think it was a more bad virus that's just been going around, but I didn't want to come here and cough and hack and spit and cough and hack and spit and just, because that's what I was doing. It wouldn't look professional. It wouldn't look right for a show like this. And so that's why I had to stay away, and I just got better yesterday.
Good for you.
It's interesting, even Joel and I were talking about this. I've had it's surgery on my hand, I've had this cough, and I've had arthritis on my toes. It's been interesting.
Well, that's why we're calling you our aging rocker.
I am
Actually,
aging.
our aging rocker. We're all aging, and
We
I say
are.
that in a loving,
I know,
affectionate
I know.
way.
All
That's,
we
it's a
want
perfect
for
title.
Christmas is our two front
Yes.
teeth.
Yeah, that was a perfect song to play while he was talking. I don't know if anybody caught that.
I did. I was going to sing along. but
You
I
can
didn't
sing
know.
along. That was just a perfect song that came to mind while he
Yeah.
was talking on and on. So,
But that's where I've been. It's one reason I kind of retired from the punk community. I can't, with all these health problems and everything, you can't exactly slam dance. I could hardly slam dance anymore and everything. It
Yeah,
just
you
looked
mentioned
bad.
it. Well, we can just call you our aging rocker and use you on not only this show, but when we do that new Lawrence Welk show.
Exactly.
It's a perfect character.
It is.
That I have planned.
It
And
is.
Speaking of that new Lawrence Welk show, I don't know if I told you I have 2 local sponsors now. 2 local sponsors, but it's just not enough, so we're not going to start the project yet.
Okay.
And I'm still contacting major corporations like the Herb Alpert Foundation and all those other foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I get 1 or 2 foundations to jump in on it, we'll start actually taping this new Lawrence Welk show. And I've got some clothing picked out for you
wonderful.
too, for your character here when that time comes.
Yeah, I got my old leather jacket. I didn't wear that too, but also, everything.
Well, I mean, when we do this new Lawrence
wonderful,
Welk show,
wonderful.
you're going to be our aging rocker on this new Lawrence Welk
That's
show.
wonderful. That's
But it'll
wonderful.
be a positive image, not that
Yeah.
image.
And
Yeah.
I
that
get to
goes
be
with it.
little Bo Peep.
Yeah, you get to be little Bo Peep. No, I've got plans for both of you. I talked to you both about that already.
Yes.
And of course, I told you, Louise. I haven't seen her lately, but she's doing okay. She's the hostess of the program.
Yes.
But we'll have like regulars that'll be like extras in the background, for scenes.
Yes.
And I'm going to introduce this show, Asaph Cafe, on that new Lawrence Welk show. Also.
Wonderful.
And how I'm going to do that, when you watch Lawrence Welk, remember how they would have scenery like in Paris or something, or Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll put up the old original Asaph Cafe, and put a sign that says Asaph Cafe on that new Lawrence Welk show, and that's how I'm going to introduce
Wonderful.
this show.
Wonderful.
So it's gonna be fun, and you guys can be like extras and do stuff. Maybe have you sing a tune on an
Wonderful.
occasion.
But I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna ask you, what if, let's say, I was sick from like on the new Lawrence Welk show, it would be very unprofessional if I was coughing and hacking all the time.
No, if you're
what would I
sick,
do? Thanks.
you just go home and rest, and we can just work around that.
Oh, thanks, because I was sick for over a month. I had that nagging cough that just was bad. It wasn't like life-threatening, it just didn't look professional for a camera. I could have done it on my old show, The Awful Truth About Society, but for something like this, it's a little different, it was more annoying, but it could get very annoying, especially at night when, it kept me up, or coughing just, especially in the morning, just cough, what in the heck is this,
Well, that happens to people,
Yeah, it just was not pleasant.
When I get sick, I live alone, so when I get sick, I turn the heating system up very high in my home, and I get under the blankets with a sweater and just sweat it all out.
Maybe I should have tried that.
That's
Who
what
knows?
I do. It may not be comfortable, but you'd be surprised when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're all soaking wet because you got this thick sweater and blanket and the heat's on, and that helps me to recover quickly.
Well, that's good, but I'm kind of worried about leaving the oven on and maybe burning something, or let's say I
don't have a gas oven.
Oh,
I have an electric.
Same here, but I'm still worried about all that.
Well, you have to turn it low, like say about 200, and it'll heat up for a while.
Oh,
and then
okay.
it shuts off. It turns itself off, and then it turns itself
Oh,
on.
I get it.
You have to turn it down really low because if you have it like 500, it's gonna burn the circuits.
Yeah, that's what I was
No,
worried
you
about.
turn it on 200 or something. It'll heat up for a while, and it'll turn itself off automatically, and then it'll turn itself back on, and you leave the door down. That's what I do.
That's wonderful.
And and in that way it doesn't burn.
But if you're over the oven, let's say this was the
No,
oven.
not over. You lay next to it, or
Oh, okay. You
Like-
don't lean over the oven with
no,
the
no,
blanket
no, no,
because
no,
that
no,
would
no,
burn
no,
yourself.
No,
and catch on
you
fire.
have
Okay.
the door down, and you put you
Oh.
lay a pillow on the
Uh-huh.
kitchen floor if it's in the kitchen, and you just turn the lights dim, and you turn the electric stove down really low, 200, maybe 150, something like that. And it takes a few hours to heat up the place.
Yes.
And, because my place is kind of relatively small. It's big, but big.
Yeah, I have a one-bedroom.
Yeah. And so it works.
I never
Or
thought
you
of that.
can
I should
just
have done.
you can just turn your heating system on normal, like your heater.
Yeah,
instead of
that's
your
a good
stove. If
idea.
you don't want to do your stove, just turn your heat up to say 75.
That's a great idea.
And sweat it out.
I think that's an excellent idea.
That's what I do when I don't
that
feel
is
well.
fantastic.
It's not comfortable. I
No,
admit.
no, it wouldn't be.
And you're very warm under the covers, but
Yes.
at least it sweats all that out.
That's an excellent idea. Never thought of that. I should have done that. Oh well, because I was relying on antibiotics and cough syrup and living on Tesla and pearls. That should be an easy listening. Kind of silly. Living on Tesla and pearls and cough syrup. La 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 la. That'd be funny. I wonder if
This
Lawrence
is the
will.
perfect. This is the perfect song where you're
Yeah,
talking.
living on Tesla and pearls and antibiotics. La 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 la. Can't think of anything more to that song. Isn't that funny? I wonder if that'll be a new hit wonder. I wonder if I'm going to be a one-hit wonder with that.
Who knows?
They'll probably
I don't
get a
know.
lot of requests for it. Living on cough syrup and Tesla pearls. Now that would be a one-hit wonder. On the radio. Well, you hear it here first on the Asaph Cafe.
Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
if that's going to be a tune
Or
for it,
living
just-
on borrowed time.
Yeah.
I thought there was already a famous song,
That is
Living
a
on Borrowed.
famous
That's what I
song.
thought, Living on Borrowed Time. Yeah. Oh, well. Here, I'm going to play a tune. Tell me if you know this song here. Oh, let me do that again. I didn't do that right. Let me try it again. And here's the melody.
Afraid I don't know it.
You don't?
No.
You don't know it either, Lynn? Here's the conclusion. This is a song called It's a Man's World. This is a man's world.
Don't think I've ever heard it.
James Brown.
Interesting. It might have been on the easy listening station. I can't remember.
I guess I didn't hear much from James
Well,
Brown.
but see, what's interesting about that song is even though he is saying it's a man's world, it would be nothing without a woman or a girl.
Okay.
You never heard that song?
No.
Yeah, that's it. That's what the line goes. It's a man's world. Like man built the ark to take us over the road, or built the cars to take us over the road, and Noah built the ark. But it would be nothing without a woman or a
Fascinating.
girl. That's
That's
interesting. That's
yeah.
an interesting line to me, don't
Yeah.
you think?
I've been
That puts women up on a pedestal.
It
to me.
does.
To me,
I think it
the
does.
lyrics of that song, and that's what they were conveying. They weren't
Fascinating.
conveying that what do you call male macho?
Yeah.
It's a man's. That's not what the song's talking about. It elevates women to me.
Fascinating.
And I like
I've been
that.
reading a book about the women who helped found the United States of America.
I can believe that. They had this episode on the Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason. Gleason, you know how he's always that male macho and man thing, right? And he was talking about how men are so important and women are nothing. And finally, Alice, his wife, says, "Well, if it weren't for this guy you're talking about, his mother, there'd be no, whoever this great person was
Yes.
that Gleason was talking about." And that put an end to that conversation. But yeah, women are very, very important, significant.
Oh yeah.
And women are strong people to me.
Mhm.
And I don't care how great some guy is, there's
Yeah.
always a woman behind it,
Yep.
if you think about that. And that's a wonderful thing. And even in the New Testament,
Yes.
Christ spoke very highly of women. I
Exactly.
don't know if people notice that. If you read the
Oh yeah, I do.
New
yeah.
Testament, and even when Christ rose from the dead, who was the first one? There was a woman.
Exactly. Yes.
Just a thought. Just food for thought.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but getting back to that song, that's a pretty cool song. How much importance it places on women.
Absolutely.
That it would be nothing. Accomplishments would be nothing.
Yes.
Achievement would be nothing without a woman.
That's true.
So that's just a pretty cool song. I don't know who wrote that song, but that was one of James Brown's biggest hits.
Oh, interesting.
So when I played it just now, I didn't know if you would know it. Of course, that's not really a piano song.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of... Let's see if you know this one. You might know this one by him.
Oh, I'm sure I have heard it, but I can't remember the name.
Still don't know it, huh?
No, I don't. No.
This is called Feel So Good. I feel
Oh,
good.
feels good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
I feel so good. Oh, yeah.
You'll recognize it then.
Now I do. I feel good, and I know that I should. I feel good. I feel. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Well, I feel a lot better than I did for this past month. You know.
Yeah.
Whatever that was that was hanging around. I didn't feel good then. Thank the Lord for my healing and the fact that my finger's getting better. Because, you know, surgery, I have my fingers getting better with physical therapy. That's good, you know.
Well, that's a perfect song since you're feeling good.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfect song. I'm feeling good now. Thank you, Lord. It really is, you know. Because I was really under the weather for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Even my voice is still kind of raspy, you know.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, it still feels a bit like there's a frog in my throat, you know. It takes a while.
Feels good. I feel good.
Yep.
And the final verse.
Yep.
That's how that goes.
Oh.
I feel good, dude.
Yep, I like that.
You know, I think I told you that story. I saw him in concert once.
Oh, I don't remember that, no.
Yeah, I got to actually see James. Well, this was like 30 years ago or more. And I actually got to see him in concert.
Mm-hmm.
And he was singing all those hits like that song I just played, I Feel Good, and Please, 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 and all those other hits that he had. And it was interesting watching him because he was sliding on stage on one foot, dancing. You know, his dance moves and stuff. He did all that stuff you see on TV.
He certainly was one of a kind, and he was imitated a great deal.
Yeah, he was. He was one of a kind. But, you know, he's not credited with all those dance moves. Cab Calloway is credited with all of that. Cab Calloway is credited with the moves that James Brown went on to do, and Michael Jackson, the moonwalk.
Oh, yeah.
All that's credited with Cab Calloway.
Interesting.
Think about it, yeah. Because I have some film footage of Cab Calloway as a young man back in 1933, where he does his version of the moonwalk.
Wow, amazing.
It's not quite like Michael Jackson's version, but it's there. So in some musical circles in music history, they're crediting Cab Calloway.
Fascinating.
And of course, his biggest hit was Minnie the Moocher. You know this song?
Nope. Interesting.
You don't know it?
Nope. Nope.
I know it was contemporary to Buddy, Can You Spare a Dime?
Yep.
Okay, you don't recognize it. Did you see the movie The Blues Brothers?
Nope, never did.
Oh, you never did? Well, that won't make much sense, but Cab Calloway sang that song in the film. With John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, interesting.
Blues Brothers, yeah.
Well, by the way, I really enjoyed. Thanks for inviting me and the others. You know, to see you at the mall playing piano. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
I've been playing at that mall for about 5 years now. And it's
I
just
didn't know
such,
that. Wow.
Yeah, it's just such a delight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
To play at that mall every year. They call it the Clock Series, concert series. You know, for Clock Tower, because that's where it's at. And so the management of Southgate Mall, they invite me there every year to play during the Christmas holiday. And I had fun this year because they gave me a lot of playing time this year.
That was great. I liked it.
And so Emmett came, and you came to my book signing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it was great. Yeah. Do you still? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you still have that little frog that's dun 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 dun
Yeah,
dun
I've
dun?
got-
That Christmas frog. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I got it. It's sitting in my living room right now.
Did you play it on any of your new shows that I? Yeah.
Well,
sure.
I did have. Well, we had the frog on a month ago.
Yeah, 'cause I've
were
been
you
gone
on,
for
you
over
were
a
on
month,
there,
you know.
weren't you? When I had the frog, I had the frog sitting on the piano, and I clicked the toe, and it just
Hilarious.
croaked jingle bells.
Hilarious.
Something like that.
That's hilarious.
I'll have to bring it again sometime. You haven't seen it yet, have you? I thought you had. All right. Well, I'll make it a point to bring it sometime in the future again.
That's
One time.
wonderful.
Yeah, he's got like a Santa outfit on, and it's a frog. It's a frog Santa outfit, and when you squeeze his toe, it croaks jingle bells.
Hilarious.
Like a frog, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to kiss it and have it turn into a prince.
No, I like it as a frog. Well, I am really glad you're back. This is cool having you back.
Finally, yeah.
Back.
It's
I'm
just a
glad
long-
you're feeling well enough.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Here's another song. See if you know this one.
That's
I've heard it before, but I can't
something
remember.
boat. Love boat. Isn't it?
That's also called "Feel So Good" by Chuck Mangione,
Oh, I've heard it,
famous
definitely.
trumpeter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's he was like a jazz trumpeter. He wore this hat. He used to
Interesting.
wear this like hat. They had him on one of those dysfunctional cartoons. This character, I want to say the Clevelands. It was one of those cartoons, you know, those
Yeah,
icky
yeah.
cartoons. Well, they had this character with a flugelhorn because that's what Chuck Mangione plays, and he was part of the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But the name of that
did you
song's
play
called-
that song on your trumpet?
I did when I was a trumpeter about 30 years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
knew how to play that song. It was a cool song. It was just such
It
a
has
cool
a
song.
really haunting melody.
I can't remember where I've heard that song, but I have heard it somewhere.
Oh, something like. Something like that, but
Yes.
that's not really a piano song. But yeah, that he was an interesting trumpet player to me.
What if I even heard it on a
Mangione.
commercial somewhere?
You might have heard.
Yeah,
it on
I
a
might have been on a
commercial.
commercial, yeah.
It's just such a catchy tune that song that you know. They probably had it in commercials like Listerine or
Yeah,
something.
they did. You know,
I don't know.
yeah. I didn't even know there was a song called "It's So Easy to Fall in Love." I know the song. It's so easy to own to sell. It's so easy to own to sell. I know that song, but then someone said it's so easy to fall in love. And I thought it was "It's so easy to own to sell" because they always do sort of popular songs, you know, and
Well,
they
you know,
play
they
classical.
they
yeah.
take some of those hits and just put them in commercials and stuff.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
do. Yeah, they do.
Like the music of Herb Alpert, they put his music on the Dating Game with Jim
Yeah.
Lang. And here she is, and you hear that song. You
Well,
remember that
that
song?
commercial with Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett.
That's a
sure
good
was-
one. I like
was
that
popular.
one. That was
I
such
remember
a
that
cute.
one.
And
the
people are
Christmas
really
one.
looking forward to seeing her sing at the Super Bowl.
Lady Gaga. She's singing
because
this
she's
coming
actually
Super Bowl.
capable of singing
Oh, no, she can sing.
without
She-
scripting.
Yeah, no. What I mean is when a lot of these rock singers, they can really sing when they're not doing that rock music.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand they have to do that because that's the style. But like,
Yeah.
You got to have a gimmick.
yeah, and with rock music or rock and roll, I think that screaming and hollering is part of it. But when they're singing ballads,
Oh yeah.
they can really sing.
Actually,
Miley
they can,
Cyrus,
yes.
I've heard her sing a Beatles song. She had a dress on the
amazing.
NBC special. Well, you had to dress up on NBC.
Oh yeah, you do.
And Miley had this beautiful dress on that, like red, white, and blue, like the American flag dress. And she sang this ballad by the Beatles, and it sounded really good. No screaming,
Yeah.
none of that sliding on a pole and all that stuff.
Sticking your tongue out.
Good.
No,
good,
none
good.
of that. None of that. And Lady Gaga, of course, she can really sing because she's singing with Tony Bennett. And when they first had their first album, this was on the world news.
Mm-hmm.
It was soaring in the sales.
Huh.
The very first album that Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga did, doing the ballads, the jazz ballads and the things like that. And Madonna is another example.
Oh yeah.
The movie, what was that movie she was in about 20 years ago? Evita?
Not up on Madonna.
Oh,
I've
no.
heard her songs, but
She was not in Evita.
It was one of those movies, something like that, where she had to sing, and not scream. But my point is, there are a lot of people in the rock industry that can really
Oh, yeah,
sing
definitely,
when
definitely.
They're not screaming their notes and screaming
Yeah.
their vocal cords
Yeah,
and, all that. So, but I'm not a singer, so I'll never have to worry about that.
yeah.
But when I was a trumpeter and had teeth and all that, and didn't have lip injuries at that time, I could play
Yeah, yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah.
But I knew how to play the piano all along. It was,
Oh yeah.
but I'd pop out a tune on a horn once in a blue
Yeah.
moon.
Wonderful.
But that was a long time ago. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it now.
Amazing.
Well, if you're like a trumpet player or clarinet player, what do they call the embouchure? if you have a mouth injury, that's the worst thing that could happen.
I didn't know that. I've never played the trumpet before.
Or a trombone or anything.
Yeah, amazing, yeah.
If you get hit in the mouth accidentally or
Ouch.
something, that's gonna
Huh.
put an end to your playing.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it can happen.
Then you have to explain your fat lip.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah. But I had that happen. I mean, an accidental hit in the mouth, and plus
Yeah.
dental issues over the
dear.
years.
Yeah.
Well, that was 30 years ago or more.
Yeah.
But I knew how to play the piano all along, and I think for me it was meant to be a pianist instead of a trumpet player, which I wrote about in my autobiography.
Yeah.
So, but I did have some fun trumpet memories over the years.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't no Louis Armstrong or anything like that, no, but at least I could put out a tune at the time.
Yep.
That's all you have to do.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And I did play for the Salvation Army for 12 years when I could
Wonderful.
play. And I got nominated for the California Jefferson Award for doing it. I don't know if you knew that. I used to take a horn and stand in front of a red kettle during the Christmas holiday, just like street musicians, and just play and raise money. And I was raising a lot of money for
Wasn't that
Salvation
in your
Army.
book? I can't remember.
Yeah,
or not.
probably.
Yeah.
I mentioned that. Yeah.
How could you leave that out?
No, it's in my book.
Yeah.
But that was like 30 years or more. I
Yep.
was like in my 20s and stuff when I did that sort of thing.
Yeah, there was another commercial about another pop song, from Dance Fever. Now, let's see, how did it go? She's a maniac.
Oh, I
and she's
remember
cooking
that.
like she's never cooked before. Yeah, and
I
about
remember
cooking
that.
where.
See if you know this song. I'm just playing out of here. See if both of you know this one. Okay, let me see. Let me try it again. That's called Let's Dance. My feeble attempt to play Let's Dance by David Bowie.
Huh.
That's not really a piano song,
Yeah.
so let me try it again.
The Ramones made something similar. Now Let's Dance. They made something very similar. They're a punk rock band, but.
That's not really a piano song,
Yeah.
but that's David Bowie's Let's Dance. which
Interesting.
was
Let's
pretty cool.
Dance. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun.
and
the
then
Ramones
the
did that.
Ramones,
Yeah.
Ramones, yeah, I remember that group. Wasn't it My Sharona?
No, that was the Knack. The Ramones were a fast three-chord punk rock group that were excellent. They kind of were a combination of the Beach Boys and others, and sometimes their songs would last for 10 seconds. They're like hyper dun 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 dun. Wow! I just loved it. I loved the old Ramones.
Well, speaking of the Beach Boys, I did a performance on the
Yeah.
same program with that group once.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, did I ever tell you that story?
Probably it was when I was talking about dancing on the tables in the showroom in Las Vegas. when
Yeah,
they
Linda used to do a
performed
lot of
there.
work in Vegas 2 years
Well, that
ago.
wasn't my job. We
No, I know,
we
but-
went to the concert and it was a theater cast party. We went to the Beach Boys concert and ended up dancing on the tables.
Yeah.
Well, this thing, what I did with the Beach Boys, I used to play with a group called Pat Gittery and High Rollers when I played in Vegas. I was like 26 at the time. And they invited us to go to Monterey, California to do a concert for suicide prevention.
Mm-hmm.
So Dinah Shore and the Beach Boys were on the same program, and that's how I got that opportunity to play on the same program with the
Interesting.
Beach Boys.
Yay!
And that was a sobering concert,
Yeah.
very sobering, because even though the Beach Boys were doing their hits, there was a purpose behind it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Suicide prevention
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
At least they've got big hearts. I've never cared for the music. The closest I've come to their music is the Ramones. I never cared for the Beach Boys, but the closest is because the Ramones was crossed between punk and the Beach Boys and some other stuff of their own wild creation,
Well, I certainly did care for the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I liked them too. I thought they were an interesting group.
I
They
thought
did all their hits like
Brian
Barbara
Wilson
Ann.
was such a genius.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, they did that song. When we did that concert in Monterey, they were singing those songs like Barbara Ann in real life. I mean, it was cool watching these guys too. Because I used to watch the Beach Boys on TV when I was like much younger,
Uh-huh.
and I never thought I'd ever see that group in real life, much less be on the same program with this group. So I had an invested interest. So I was watching with interest.
Yeah.
And they sounded really good. It's just like listening to their records, only you're watching them on stage. And that was a cool experience. Beach Boys, and of course Dinah Shore. I don't know if you know who she was. She was a famous singer.
I've heard of her. I've never heard her, but
And she had her own television show.
Yeah, she had a talk show too when she was a little bit older. And she didn't she do some musicals as a young woman?
Well, she was a singer with a band.
Yeah, that's it. That's what
I
I'm
don't
thinking.
believe she was in musicals, but she sang with a band.
Yeah, well, anyway, she was quite the singer. Very elegant lady, very classy lady, Dinah Shore. And she had a beautiful voice. You could probably look her up in the future, Dinah Shore. They may
Interesting.
have clips of her, I would imagine. Let's see. Now that I've butchered that David Bowie song, let me redeem myself. I'll play a short version of Painted Black.
Speaking of rockers who actually can sing ballads, even Guns N' Roses, I know you probably don't like heavy metal, but they can sing ballads like Patience. I have some of their albums, like an acoustic version, just try a little patience. And he was just singing, not screaming. It's very nice. Very nice, you know. Almost cross between Guns N' Roses and Easy Listening, but in rock and roll style. It was unusual, you know.
Well, the song that you were playing, the David Bowie song,
The Let's Dance.
Oh, yeah.
reminded me of the Beatles' Twist and Shout.
I remember that song. John Lennon, right?
I don't know which one of them wrote it.
I think it was John Lennon that sang that song.
Well,
And here's the conclusion.
Interesting.
That's my little classical version of Painted Black.
Yeah.
But getting back to those other songs that you mentioned, Twist and Shout. I thought that was John Lennon that sang that.
well, it was the Beatles.
Oh, I did not know
When
that.
they were a group.
Yeah, no, I know, I realize that, but I mean, I saw a documentary, and I think what they did was they saved that song for last when they were recording it, because they knew that if they did that at the beginning, his voice would be hoarse because he was screaming a bunch of high notes. So they saved that to the end, which I think was a good business move. You know, when they were recording that particular album, and that song goes something like this. See. Something like that. I don't know how to play that song, but I'm almost sure it was John Lennon that sang that. A very young John Lennon.
Yeah, I'm not up in the
Paul
Beatles.
McCartney is the one who had the high range.
No, I know, but I mean that particular song.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the whole group. I just mean that one song, Twist and Shout.
Never heard it. The closest I come to the Beatles is Easy Listening. They got so many easy listening covers of Yesterday and some others. I just love those. Or even on toddler tunes on their slumber set. Let's see, lullaby renditions of the Beatles. Those are nice.
Yeah.
We haven't heard much about Lennon's son lately.
About who?
Lennon's son.
Oh, Julian?
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's doing other things. Maybe he's just wise enough to do something else besides music. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But that was quite a group, the Beatles.
Yeah.
And we're more than halfway through the show already, so we've got about 15 minutes left.
Fascinating.
And we'll rest and do number 2. But getting back to the Beatles, yeah, they, oh boy, I'm dating myself. I'm old enough to remember when they got off that flight, when they first appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
It was 1964, I think it was. And my parents weren't really Beatles fans, but they would watch. I think a lot of people, like my parents and people that are older, they weren't really into the Beatles. They were just probably curious about this group and would watch them on television because everybody watched Ed Sullivan when I was a kid growing up. And anybody who was anybody in show business wanted to be on the Ed Sullivan Show. I don't care if it was a comedian, a dance act, whoever. Everybody wanted to be on Ed Sullivan. So the Beatles got on there, and I think they were just for the young crowd, the young crowd of that time, because people like my parents, they would just sit there like this, stone faced, just not moving. Now I tell you, my birth mom, she was a big fan of Tom Jones.
Oh.
You get Tom Jones on TV, and my mom be crying. Were you a Tom Jones fan?
No.
Really?
I've heard of Tom Jones.
Yeah, the guy that
I
sing that
sort
song.
of like the songs, but
Let me do it again.
and I should have been prejudiced toward him because he was Welsh. But
You know what I've never understood? I know the 60s and 50s were a lot more conservative than today, but a lot of parents thought that the Beatles were corrupting America's youth, and they were horrible. They thought this, and I'm thinking, I've heard raw Beatles songs. It's not rock and roll. It's folk music at most. It's not.
I know.
Rock.
Well, you gotta. If you study music history, whenever a new music always came out that was new, people feared it.
Huh.
That was way before rock and early rock and roll music came out. Even in the classical era, they had those issues that
Well, I know
when something
Elvis.
new came
Yes.
out, the people panicked. They thought it was wrong, but it wasn't wrong. It's
Yeah.
just a new.
I
new
know
music.
Elvis was parents really freaked out about Elvis, but the Beatles came afterwards, and I guess I heard it was the
I think
generation.
Elvis was tame compared to the Beatles when
Really?
they first came out. Yeah. And, well, think about it. The Beatles were young. They had that haircut, so
Yeah.
everybody, I guess the haircut style didn't conform to what you were supposed to have
Yeah.
in that time zone.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have your hair clipped over your ears and things like that.
Oh yeah.
I was at the express shop, and a couple of the staff had the radio on, and they were dancing around to Buddy Holly. And the owner came over and he said, "What you doing?" And they said, "Just enjoying Buddy Holly." And he said, "I used to listen to that on the radio when I was a kid." And they started getting us in trouble because we started growing our hair longer, listening to the Beatles. And I said, "You don't look that old."
Yeah. That's just amazing, because Beatles to me is like more folk music. I mean, if you want to hear something really angry, turn on Cannibal Corpse or something. Listen to Cannibal Corpse or Napalm Death. That'll really scream. That really.
But see, the point that I'm making is, I just think it's a generational thing.
I think
Just
you're right,
every
yeah.
generation has their music. Even the Boogie Woogie, during Liberace's era.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him on TV, and he was talking about how all the young kids of that era like the Boogie Woogie, and each generation has their music.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time the Beatles came out, they just kind of like dominated, but it's no different. Now the Beatles have sort of passed their heyday now. You still have groups coming out past the Beatles. You got a lot of these younger people who probably don't even think much of that group, the Beatles, anymore. They're into I don't know, whoever the young rock groups that are out there. Remember the Smashing Pumpkins? How popular they were for a while.
That was so boring. I've never liked the
Well,
Smashing Pumpkins.
they had their heyday.
How about the Insane Clown Posse?
Oh, I can't stand them. It's just irritating. I've heard Insane Clown Posse. It's irritating to the core to me.
Yeah, but see, that's the
yeah.
thing. To a group may be irritating to some,
That's
but
a good
to the
point.
young kids,
Yeah.
they're eating it up.
I forgot. I'm no longer a young kid anymore, so it's
Right.
not my generation to listen to Insane Clown
No,
Posse
I
or
mean, the
Smashing
Beatles era
Pumpkins.
is kind of gone. The Smashing Pumpkins era is kind of gone in a sense, even though they might still be singing. It's like, people hit their stride, and then they kind of taper off, and they're still popular,
Yeah.
and they're still known, but they taper off because the younger generation comes out. I mean, you don't hear about Neil Diamond to the degree that you once did.
Oh, yeah, and I still love Neil Diamond.
Oh, me
Gordon
too.
Lightfoot. Yeah.
I like Neil Diamond.
He's fantastic.
And Cyndi Lauper. I saw her on TV a couple
Gordon
weeks
Lightfoot.
ago.
Love Gordon Lightfoot. I have him on every day practically.
And she's like older now, so she's not like necessarily wearing the checkerboard color hair today that she did when she was young. You can get away with stuff like that when you're like 19 and 20.
Who is that?
Cyndi Lauper. Remember she used to have like the pink and that kind of checkerboard color hairstyle when she was a young woman? bursting on the scene, or like Boy George.
Yeah.
He's older now. He's not going to be looking
yeah.
at having that character look he had.
Yeah,
when he was
yeah.
young. You know, just you get like 60 something, you kind of change your image a little bit.
Yeah.
You get a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
But the voice is still there, though. I mean, all these people can still sing. There's no question about it. But getting back to Cyndi Lauper, she just did a thing on PBS recently with Willie Nelson.
Huh.
Oh, that sounded so good.
Huh.
Yeah, she was singing on stage with Willie Nelson, of all people. I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were celebrating, I think, was Willie's Lifetime Achievement Award. Because is he 82 now, I think, now, Willie Nelson? And so to see him still singing with that voice and that ponytail look, just older version of Willie, and Cyndi Lauper came out singing with him, oh, that sounded really good. I was impressed. Of course, I always did like Cyndi Lauper. I liked her when she first burst on the scene. Let's see if I can do her tune. Remember this song? Pretty cool song.
Yes.
I can't remember the words. I'm sort of hearing them. What is the name of that?
Time After Time.
Oh, yeah, Time After Time.
I even did that in karaoke.
That was a movie. It wasn't too good. I didn't care for the movie Time After Time. I've seen it a couple of times. It was a sequel to The Time Machine, Time After Time.
Well, there's a lot of movies that probably have that title. There was wasn't there a Time After Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour, love story? And then it went something like this.
No, it was a moment in time.
Oh, yeah.
That was a theme to the show. But getting to that film, did you see the movie? You saw it, right? That was so sad because, see, at the beginning of this film...
It was all flashback.
Yeah. See, at the beginning, this older woman walks up to a young Christopher Reeves, hands him, I think it was a watch or a locket or something, and she said, "Come back to me." That was at the beginning. And so what Reeves' character does, he starts looking up this older woman and finds out it was this really beautiful young woman when she was young. And so he goes back in time to where she was when she was young, and they rekindled their love, and it was a sweet.
I've seen that one, I think, yeah.
Around the end of the movie, he was not supposed to have anything from the future, otherwise it would plunge him back into the future. And he had accidentally left a coin from the future in his pocket. And when he pulled out the coin accidentally,
I've seen that one. Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
And he could not get back to the past the second time to go back.
I saw that. What was that movie called? I had forgotten about that movie.
What's it?
A Moment in Time.
I had seen that. I had forgotten that.
Yeah,
I had forgotten that.
Beautiful love story.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And he got so depressed that he winds up dying. And when he gets to heaven, she's there waiting for him. So.
I remember that movie now.
Yeah. And there are a lot of songs with the title "Time After Time" or "Time Something," like Cyndi Lauper's song, this movie, and so on. But
Time After Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this one here.
Spinning in the dryer. I'm spinning in the dryer. Every time I hear Easy Listening, I sing stuff like that when I'm doing dishes or whatever. I'm spinning in the dryer. It's fascinating to me. Even during Lawrence Welk, when I'm watching Lawrence Welk, and when Lawrence Welk claps, I say, "Well, that's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful." After I've just sung "Spinning in the Dryer."
Well, I'm gonna be doing that too. You remember that baton that Lawrence Welk used? Well, one was donated to me for this new Lawrence Welk show. Morgan Roth Music donated a baton.
Wonderful.
They actually donated a baton for when we do that show, and it glows in the dark. So, so if we do some nighttime scenes, you'll see me up there with my little baton. We're almost running out of time. We got about 5 more minutes left. Any last minute words you want to say before we wind it down?
Well,
I'll
I'm
start with
just
you.
grateful to God that I'm back. I'm
Good.
really happy that my health. I hope it stays good. I hope there isn't anything new going on.
You're only our second guest on this temporary new set. Linda's the first one. 'Cause
Yep.
we just started this last week as far as the set that we're on right now. Our dawn
Yep.
sunset, I call it. Wouldn't you call it that? City view? Dawn?
Yeah, very good. Yes.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. And let's see, get my cameras to show it more.
It's in the backdrop of that big building. That big
Yeah,
tower,
no, there's no way to.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Oh yeah. Well,
You can still see it on camera anyway. Linda, anything you want to say real quick before we sign off here?
Well, I hope everybody has a very enjoyable, healthy week.
yep.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Belated Happy New Year. I know it's February. Belated Happy New Year. I would have said Happy New Year, but I was sick.
Well,
What
yeah.
a way to start off the new year.
Well, I
huh?
think the audience knows you were gone,
Yeah.
so those are good acknowledgments. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let me make some final acknowledgments. I am Asaph Adonai, your host. We're on our temporary new set, and this is only the second episode, so you're the second guest on the second episode of this set. And of course, we have our affectionately, our aging rocker Emmett back with us, and we're glad you're feeling better.
Yep.
And our regular Linda Brooks Curtis, lovely Linda, she's here with us. And I guess until our next show, Maranatha.
Happy trails.
You want to do happy trails in
Yeah.
this? Now let's get that key.
Yep.
Hold on.
To you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. It's hoping until then.
That's a good way to end it.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Until our next show, Maranatha.
Well,